Okay, so continuing on with what we did last, we just have our basic setup with a stage of 800 by 600 with a light gray background, and we put a sprite onto the stage. So if you want to look at what it looks like, we just have a gray background. Our little yellow sprite is our guy. Not a whole lot going on. So what you might want to do in your game, you may want to have the keyboard interactive. You might want to use like the WASD keys or arrow keys to move this sprite around the screen. So let's talk about doing that. So Pixi itself doesn't really have a keyboard method per se. So what we can do is we can basically use our basic HTML event handlers for key up and key down. So there's going to be a couple of different things you can do here, and this is going to be a little bit more involved. But we'll start off first is we'll create some event handlers. So we'll do some keyboard event handlers here, and we'll do a window dot add event listener, and we're going to do a key down, and we're going to basically then call a function called key down. Let's see keys down. Let's do that. Keys down, and then we want to do an event for when they lift up and let go of the key. And it's a key up and key up, keys up. Okay, so then we have to have our functions. Function keys down, key, and then down here another one for function keys up, key. So by default, let's just see what happens just with this. Now, when you hit a key, the event will pass in key code. All right, that's nothing Pixi related. It's just standard HTML JavaScript related. So we can do a console.log here, and we'll do an e.keycode. All right, and just see what keys are what. Right, so do the same thing here. Console.log e.keycode. Right, it's like that. So if it's save and run this, all right, go to the console. You'll see that I'm outputting characters now. So what you can do here is you can map the keys you want. Like W is 87. All right, and it's twice because I'm registering the up and down. Right, A, S, and D. All right, so those are your WASD keys. Right, so it's 87, 65, 83, and 68 are your WASD keys. So those are the ones we care about, and we want to have those interact with our sprite. Okay, so one of the ways that we can do this is we can store the keys. One of the easier ways I think I found is to store the keys in an object. So let's just do let keys equals that, so an empty object. And so what we can do then is we can store it. So we can say that we can go keys e.keycode, all right, equals true. So that when it's down, we set that key code to true. All right, and we'll keys e.keycode. All right, set that to false. So what's very interesting with this mechanism here is we are allowing the JSON object to automatically create a entry for us, and we'll set it to true or false based upon if we're holding it down and up. All right, so let's take a look at what that looks like. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to basically create a div tag, and I'm going to give it an ID of keys. Okay, so I'm going to output that. And one of the things we have to do, we haven't talked about this here yet, but we want to create a ticker. All right, so that right now there is behind the scenes an event loop that runs, but we want to attach our function to that, so that as the events roll through, that we get to basically interact and react based upon what things happen, like say what keys are held down. Okay, and so what we can do then, we can do here, we can say app.ticker.add, and you have a new function called game loop. All right, pass in our function. Okay. So we don't have one yet, so we'll create one down here. Okay. So what we can do this function is let's create another variable up on top here. We'll say let keys div. Okay. So that's going to be our thing here. So at the bottom of this guy, we'll just say keys div equals document dot query selector. So we're going to select it from the list here. All right. So we're going to store that so we don't have to type this all the time. All right, and that's what this right here. And so we're going to do this. We're going to basically take the data that's in keys here, our JSON object, and output it to here, into here. So we can see what's going on. So we'll do let's see, keys div inner HTML equals, we'll do a JSON.stringify so we can just see what's going on. Stringify, and we'll just stringify keys. Okay, so run that, go back to here, you'll see that well, let's see if we restart this guy here. I'll reload that. Right now it's empty, right? Because we haven't pressed any keys yet. But as soon as I hit, like, say, W, all right, see how now I have the object is now being filled with data for keys that I've pressed. I'm just hitting the WASD keys in random succession here. So if I hit the W key, for example, 87 is true because we established that 87 is in the console here is taken up because 87 is being held down, but at the same time it's being set to true. So we can interrogate this and basically to interrogate that is S 83 down, and then we can also have multiples. So if for example hitting WD. All right, now you see 68 and 87 are true. So the nice thing about this then is I can say, all right, well, with these two down, I can then basically move my guy in any of those particular directions based upon what keys are being pressed inside the game loop. All right. So now that we have this information, let's just get rid of these console logs so that they're not clogging up our stuff. And so we want to keep this here so we can see what's going on. So we can then just basically determine what we want to do. So we can say that, all right, so let's see, keys dot, let's see now, let's see which ones were what now that I got rid of them. So 87 I believe was W. Well, let me let's go back and put the key down this time. Just keep that here. Let's see, key code. So I can just make sure I have what I need, and of course I didn't like that. So now go back to the console. So W87. All right, so ASD. So I have those 87, 65, 83, 68. So I guess I'll do something here. So if say keys dot, let's see, 87. Actually, better do it this way. All right, so that's a W. We can then do player.x plus equals. Let's just give it a speed. Let's say 5, just for now, for the sake of just testing it right now. So what I'm saying here then in the game loop is I'm going to test each time the loop runs that if the 87 or W key is pressed, I move the player x plus 5 each time. All right, and so let's see what that looks like. And, oh, that's the wrong direction, actually. I actually move the Y, and I actually move it up, so let's do that. All right, so there. So now you can see that it's gone up. So then, now I can continue this trend. All right, so I say keys, next one being, actually I'll just copy and paste this a couple times here. Just 4 times. Boom, boom, boom. All right. And then I get the other keys in play here. So make sure I get that. So WASD. So 65, 83, 68. So 65. So that we can add a comment in here if you want. So okay. So we go back here. So 65, 83. Let's see. 83 and 68. Okay, so we're doing A, we want to go left, right? So that's going to be the X now, and then S is going to be down, so Y we'll do plus, and then D is right, and just add to that, just like that. So now if we go back here now, then we can see that I'm able to do that. Oh, let's see. D is not working. Y. Let's see. A is, W is, S is. So D is not working. So it must have sent the wrong key code. 68. Let's take a look. What I do? 68 is player X. There we go. So now I go back here. Now let's see it again. There we go. So just by the sheer fact I'm holding the keys down, I'm able to kind of have this interesting motion with my sprite on the screen. Alright, so once again, let's take a look at what we did. Alright, so first things first is we basically set up our keyboard handlers. So we use the Windows event listeners. Alright, so we set a key down and a key up to call our two functions here. And then we added a ticker so that that we can call our own function as Pixi's own event loop runs. It will actually trigger and hit our game loop, and it does it quite fast. So it'll hit this multiple times. And what we're doing is, if you ignore the output here, basically saying that if the keys are held, so like with a key down, we're storing that and setting it to true, and when it's up, setting it to false. And basically we're using the simple conditionals of saying if keys 87 for our W is up, is true, all right, then we move the player's Y direction by this much, by 5, okay, and then A, S, and D, same thing, 65, 83, 68, and move them by 5. And so therefore, with that, as the game loop continually runs, and while the keys are true, then we actually move the player. So it's a real simple way of using the game loop, and to allow for more smooth motion of our sprite on the screen. All right. So I hope you find that helpful, and hopefully this will allow you to move beyond this to making more interesting games. But that's a real quick quick way of using keyboard interaction for your sprites.